Hey guys, so I'm retaking this video because it was way too long and I don't like it anymore, and I was also rambling. Now that I have my points more concise, I'm gonna say it in like one go basically, and then never do this again because I want to make a video game in my brain now. Alright, so no, I actually need to record, but so tone. Your tone sucks. Stop scooping your mids. End of video. Boom. It's done. No. I wish I could do that, because then I'd make a lot of money. But unfortunately, I'm not a guitar YouTuber who gets sponsors. I'm black. No, sorry. I can't do that one anymore. Alright, so what are we talking about? Tone. Why tone? Tone is very important to a few people. Most of those people being people who spend a lot of money on guitars. That's who I'm kind of talking to today, but also a little bit to the guy who's, intermediary to like late beginner. You play songs, you know how to play songs, and you play your guitar. Okay, that's like intermediate. I'm just gonna say intermediate players, right? You play songs, you know how to play songs, maybe you wrote a few, and you play music in whatever context that you've been planning to, right? It's cool, whatever. What is the point here? The point is that you as a player are probably feeling like your tone sucks, and you'd be right, because your tone does suck. But here's the secret: so do some of the greats. Take Metallica, for example. Dog shit tone. Awful. Without the SM57 being a trash mic, you'd never know, because one, it's a bad mic, so it's not a trash mic, but it's like average. It's okay, like it's decent, but it's not a good mic, right? It was good enough to like use to record, but it's not like it's the industry standard, because for metal and like rock and stuff, it has like the response for like certain frequencies is like pretty shite, so it just works out, right? Because metal in general is just noisy, right? And rock as well, so it means having a shit response for those type of things actually works out. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not a fucking audio engineer, fuck you. What I do know though is that you need to EQ your amp, nigga. Stop fucking trying to buy new pedals, okay? You don't need pedals. You don't need new strings. You don't need another guitar. You don't need new pickups. You don't need nothing. Maybe you need a coil split. I don't know. I need a coil split. Single coil, who needs that? And you've got coil split. It's irrelevant. But what is relevant is, I'm sorry, I'm grabbing my laptop very aggressively. What is important is, one, your EQ, and two, sensibility. Yeah. So how do I explain this? Right. So when you're EQing, right, there's a part of you, right, that just wants to hear noise. Okay, we all have this within. You'll turn your bass knob as high as you can put it, well, as high as you can stomach hearing it at, anyways. And you'll put your mids as low as possible, and your highs as well, and you'll drop that, and you'll fucking chug, and it'll sound like a wet paper bag being punched by a baby, because that's the tone you were seeking. Why? Because instead of thinking about like, how a guitar functions as a whole, you were thinking more about, heaviness or the soundscape that you want to create, without thinking of what this thing does to create said soundscape. So, and by this thing, I mean this thing. This is the part that matters. Maybe this sometimes, but rarely. It's usually just this. It's the pickups, okay? It's the pickups. Why do they matter? Because the pickups are basically the entire structure of your guitar's tone on the guitar side. Besides like what? Maybe your pickup, your volume knobs. No, not your volume knobs. Really a tone knob. But that's just like a brightness increaser, right? It's like the brightness slide on your phone. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Having full brightness or low brightness, it's really up to you. Put the tone knob aside. Okay, let's focus on bigger things. EQing your amp. There are 3 states of EQ. First is the retardation state. This is the state wherein your brain only absorbs chugs and you only want to hear yourself do zeros. So you're going to crank the bass drop your mids and highs and crank your distortion to max and just bow, 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 which is good, it's healthy, and it's important for us all. The second state is the copium state. This is where you start playing clean tones and you're fiddling around a lot with your EQ, and you don't really know like what you like, but you keep fiddling, and one day the tone sounds amazing and the next day it sounds like trash, and then the next day it sounds good again, and you're like, why? That's because you're still kind of figuring out what you really like about your amp and your guitar's combination between each other. And really by that I mean your pickups and your amp combination. So to break it down, wait, I'm not done. Thirdly, we have the state of achieved enlightenment, and this is where you realize that EQ matters in a way that you didn't understand before. So at this state, sorry, stimulation toy, aka guitar in my hands. This video is already reaching 10 minutes and I haven't even said anything. 3 states. Enlightenment. I'm there, you're not. Why can't you be here? Okay, I'll help you out. Yeah, because that's just what I'm here to do. So, how do you become enlightened? First things first. Stop everything you're doing. Stop googling YouTube videos on how to get X and Y bands tone or whatever, okay? This is especially for my niggas that you're an intermediate player and you want to be in a band, or you're already in a band and you don't like your tones, or you're struggling to find tones that you think are perfect or whatever. First thing you need to do is forget the idea of emulating another band's tone. And what I mean by that is, don't think, does this sound like X and Y band? Because what you're going to keep doing is creeping and approaching to a unsatisfactory state where you're always almost there, right? You're kind of just edging yourself, because what you're doing is, instead of like worrying about stuff that matters and is important to our society, like chugs and zeros and ones, this shit doesn't matter. Hashtag prog metal, hashtag thumping. Sorry, I don't actually thump. You're not worrying about important things, right? You're worrying about stupid and irrelevant things because you're thinking about other bands. Now you're probably thinking, how? It's simple. So simple. When you think about another band's tone, what you're doing isn't creating a tone that you like, but it's creating a tone that they would like, because that's what they did. They made a tone that they liked. Now, what do I mean? Because if you like the tone, wouldn't you just model it after that? Yes. However, the problem is that you're focused on sounding like them instead of sounding like yourself. You don't have a tonescape idea in your head that is individual to you, and it's not because you're not unique. Because spoiler alert, none of us really are unique. Okay. Like, what the fuck? Alright, like, everything is inspired, bro. It's chai. All of the new things have been made. So let's give up on that, okay, for a moment. So how do we sound new? How do we sound new? We don't want to be new, not because that's a bad idea, but because we can't. This is chai. Like, someone in India already did what you're trying to do. Give up on trying to be special on something that you haven't even looked into how special you really are. Because guess what? You're most likely kind of the same as that other guy, but that other guy might be more popular because he makes music that more people like. Boom, you're cooked. You're cooked. So let's focus on things that matter. Tone, right? EQ. E-fucking-Q. Alright? This is why EQ is important, is because when you listen to like bands you like and stuff, you'll notice that some of them have very distinctive tones on their guitars. Maybe when they switch, instruments, or they switch tunings, or you know what I'm saying, or they usually just when they switch instruments the tones will vary. But not really, because like it's, I'm not getting into this debate unless it's like a single coil switched, like from a humbucker to a single coil, or like in series, one of those combinations, or parallel. Whatever you want. I failed technology in school. Whatever config your pickups are running in, if you're switching from like humbucker to single coil or hot rod or P90, whatever the fuck, you're gonna get a difference in sound, right? That's because of the fact that wiring wise, they're made to pick up frequencies at different frequencies differently, right? It's not better or worse, just differently. For example, humbuckers are great for, you know, lower frequencies, until you play jazz, and then you find out they're actually great for jazz because they're very warm and stuff, right? And then you realize that none of it matters, because here's the thing, is that the pickups are cool and all, but if you don't know how to EQ your amp, you're useless, right? So EQ your amp. How do I EQ my amp XO? I'm stupid and useless. It's okay, I was too, until I figured it out, guys. It's called don't crank the bass knob. Alright? Maybe turn up your mids. The point is, don't crank the bass knob and call it a day, dropping your mids and your highs and thinking you're gonna shred. You're gonna sound like a burger. Why? Because your distortion is gonna sound like shit, because there's nothing else but low frequencies, and your distortion just eats everything else, so no one hears what you're playing. So how do we fix that? It's simple. It's so simple. All you have to do is, again, EQ correctly. So that little knob there, just turn him, just a squig, turn him, you know. Mid knob, turn him up a little bit, you know, like 1, 2, maybe from 12 o'clock to 1 or 2 or 3, even if you're feeling adventurous, half 2 to 3. You don't need to turn it up all the way. Same with the bass knob. The bass knob, especially if you're playing, like my guitar, for example, has a very low register for some reason. Like, it gets pretty bassy. Why? I don't know, but I like it. So what do we do? It's also my amp, but that's neither here nor there. So what do we do, right? What we do is simple. If you're rocking a normal Stratocaster or Epiphone or whatever, your guitar is completely normal, it's from a normal store and it's not used or whatever, EQ your amp. Just play with the knobs a little bit, hear yourself, record it. Recording is very important for this reason, right? Record yourself playing on your amp with your little EQs and record the differences, right? And then hear which one sounds the clearest while still retaining what you want, right? So if you want to sound heavy, right, you want to make slam, EQ it towards, you know, your idea of the peak slam tone, but just don't forget to leave everything else out. I mean, don't forget to not leave everything out of the mix, right? You don't want to have just your low string be the only thing that's actually audible when you're playing. So EQ. Oh no, my guitar doesn't sound as good as this guy's guitar. He spent more money. Not a problem. EQ. If you have a cheaper amp, EQ. If you have a good amp, EQ. It doesn't matter what amp you have. It doesn't matter what guitar you have. You need to EQ in order to sound good. There's a good reason why bands like, I don't know, who's a good example, like Title Fight, for example. Everyone likes Title Fight now. Title Fight is a great example. I'm included in the everybody because I didn't listen to them before. I'm not hating on you. I'm not, I promise. But I actually am, because I don't like you. Yeah, EQ, bro. What are you still doing? Jacking off. Start EQing instead. Anything else that matters? Oh, this is another thing with tone, right? If you use a pick and you care about your tone so much, you're an idiot. Full stop. That's it. It's done. You know why? Because these are already plectrums. Look at this. Do you know why I have fingernails that are grown out on only one hand? Can you actually see that? I don't know if you can see. Okay, here we go. You can kind of see. They're dirty, I'm sorry. As you can see, they're grown out on one hand. This is because, one, I like playing fingerstyle, proper guitar. Oh, my classical heroes, please leave a like and subscribe if you play classical guitar, and send me lots of Cordobas and Yamahas and money. Yeah, these things are plectrums. So what does that mean? It means if you want to have a difference in your tone or whatever, pick with your fingers, maybe. Pick softer, maybe. And it doesn't have to be, you know, you're playing a metal song and you're like, oh, I should pick softer. No. What I mean is that if you're playing a metal song, you can still play with your fingers. You don't need a pick. Needing a pick is a skill issue because you can do this and there's a pick. Pretend you're holding a pick. There's your pick. Grow out your fingernails. This is why we grow out our fingernails when you play like acoustic and stuff, classical and stuff, right? Spanish guitar, whatever. It's because it acts as like a plectrum, but without the awful sound of plastic going clang, 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 clang on steel strings. So instead of hearing clang, 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 whenever the flimsy little bastard is flicking around, instead all you hear is angelic sounds. Right? You also get more control over the sound that comes out of your strings because, again, you're using your fingers, right? And your fingers are naturally able to mute, right? You know this because you palm mute all the time because you like to chug and you like to play electric and heavy shit. So take that into mind and use your fingers. These aren't just there to hold a pick and do alternate picking that you saw in the YouTube video that you can't play through yet because it's really difficult to play that song. Don't do that. Instead, do this, you know? Take your time and think like, man, maybe I should just pick with my hands. And then in the next section or whatever, I'll grab a pick, right? And then now you've added tonal variety because there's actual tonal variety in your playing, right? You're using your hands to affect your tone, right? Instead of using 50 different pedals and buying new pickups and doing this and that and modding your guitar to God's ends just to find that at the end of the day your EQ still sucks and your mix sucks because you haven't EQ'd your amp. You don't know how to EQ your amp. So what's the point? You know what I'm saying? What's the point? The sound guy, the reason why the sound guy don't like you is because you don't EQ your amp. So all he hears is glang, 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 and no one wants to hear glang, glang, glang. I'm so sorry. No one wants to hear that. So what to do, right? Where do I start healing? You start by stopping. Okay, let's take a break. Step back. Okay, step back, and then go listen to the music that inspires you to play the way you do. This is an important thing. Inspiration, not who you are trying to be, who you want to be like or play like or be better than. That guy's tone, the reason why it sounds so good isn't because he was sitting there like you, like a dumbass fucking watching YouTube videos. It's because he was sitting there dialing in his fucking amp and playing his guitar. So what are you still doing? You know what I mean? I hope it's not watching. No, I actually do hope it's watching this video. I hope it's not dialing in your amp, because if you're not dialing in your amp, you're doing it wrong. Dial in your amp. You know what I'm saying? And then you can worry about pedals. You can worry about pedals. You can worry about pickups. You can worry about all of this junk, right? But if you're not able to dial in a good or at least serviceable tone on any amp that you use, it won't matter what you buy or what you use or what effects you have or whatever, because you'll sound like trash either way. What is important is that you like use this thing to extract the audio files from the music you listen to and then pass it into an APK and install it into your brain again. Now this time it's an app, so you can open it and go, oh, So maybe if I, turn this like this and do this like this and play like this, using my hands, or like, muting like this, and you'll find you sound so much better. Why? Because instead of buying 8 billion fucking, whatever products, you're doing important things, big things. So the wood that they made your guitar with won't change how it sounds. No, the pickups you have, unless they're microphonic, won't change how your guitar sounds. No, your fretboard wood does not affect how good your playing will be or how it sounds. It's just how it looks. It really is just a visual thing. No, buying a new guitar will not fix it. And no, buying a new amp won't fix it either. What I mean by that is that unless your amp literally doesn't function properly, like you turn it on and it just, unless it's doing that, you don't need a new amp. What you need to do is lock the fuck in and dial that bitch, bro. My amp is not fully functional even, but it sounds good. Why? Because I play my guitar enough to where I'm dialing in my tones and worrying about, my EQ more than why don't I have a tube screamer pedal, or why don't I have a rat, or why don't I have this, and why blah, 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 blah. You really want to learn how to sound good? Get an amp that doesn't have distortion. Play with clean tones, and then buy a distortion pedal, and you'll understand why I'm saying this. Because when you play clean tones, right, when you play clean stuff a lot, right, like me, I came up on fingerstyle music, so for me, like, the Minecraft song was like my favorite fucking thing to play, right? Boom 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 boom. That shit's gas, but its keynotes peak. Why is it peak? It's peak because it's a good song. I don't know where I was going with that. The point is, that's where I came up from. So I EQ myself in accordance to what I find to be appealing about the instrument, not just about the bands I listen to or who I want to play like. Because if you're unaware, my EQ sounds nothing like Tosin Abasi's. My clean tones will never be as good as Tosin's, but I've accepted that because, one, I don't have Fishman pickups. Was that hair? I'm so scared. What was that? That was gross. Anyways, I don't have Fishman pickups, so that's out the window. So what do? I lock in and I say, what can I do? Well, I like this 1, 2, 3, 4 aspects, right, of maybe, varying artists and sounds, right, and types of sound. So what do? I say, okay, well, how are they doing that, right? What jumps out to me in the sound? Is it warmth? Is it bite? What is it? You know what I'm saying? Dirt? There's a lot of silly adjectives that we use to describe these things, but they're there and important for a reason. It's because it gives an easier way for us, the non-engineers, to actually, put words to our feelings about how we, enjoy our music, right? So you need to figure out what is important to you, and then you need to figure out how you're going to make it you, right? And after that, just EQ, baby. That's it. If you're like a fussy finagler, right, and you want varying tones for like one set, like you want to have, your clean sound like this in one song, and in the next song it sound like this, go EQ your amp. Don't buy this multi-effects and that microphone and this what. You're not gonna get anywhere because you still don't know how to EQ your amp. So instead, EQ your amp. Get your trashy amp or even decent amp, whatever amp, to sound good. If you can do that, any amp you play through, you'll be able to sound good through, because, you know what I'm saying, you're thinking about what sound you want to produce, right? Sometimes all you need to do is turn down your gain knob, right? For some of us, that's all we need to do, is just turn down the gain, right? I said it earlier, let a little bit of clean tone through. I don't know if I said it in this recording, but let a little bit of clean tone through. Sometimes you need a little bit of clean tone to come through that distortion. Sometimes you need no distortion but some gain to make that little bite, that little drive, right? You want that drive, not the overdrive, but you want that little drive, right? That little you know what I'm saying? You have to fiddle. And sometimes that also involves doing things like cranking your mids a little bit more. Don't fucking juice your mids to the point where it sounds like you're playing a sitar, please. But juice your mids like a little bit, like a little mid boost, a little bit of mid boost. Why not? Whoever disliked a mid boost? I don't. Especially if you're on humbuckers, boost your mids a little bit. Leave your high end, because humbuckers are great with high end, but leave your high end at 12 o'clock, maybe a little bit more, because you're gonna be playing gainy stuff with like high bass on your amp. If you want to really crank your bass that much, turn up your high end a little bit. Yes, when you play with distortion, it will squeal. What do we do to fix that? Drop the high end, right? That's like the ultimate solution. Wrong. It's to drop your gain. You don't need that much gain. What you need more of is good EQ. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Please share this video with the guitarist that lives downstairs from you and has the worst tone you've ever heard. They need this. I needed this. I needed to get this off my chest. It's so sad, seeing people like making YouTube videos and stuff, but the video is just like the summary of the video is, I have a really good amp. That's the summary of the video, and I've EQ'd it well. That is the summary of most videos. Because look, go on a guitar review channel or whatever, or guitar YouTube channel, or any video about guitars, right? And you'll find that even with the shittiest guitars ever, they can make them sound really good. It's not a secret. It's not about evil ancient technology. It's not about even sometimes having an expensive amp. Sometimes it's just about having good EQ. So EQ your amp, please. There's nothing else to say. Just EQ.